Oh, you've still got your AC/DC mug. That's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Still got me.
You still got your Ramones
I
one?
have, yeah. I haven't seen that for a while. Yeah, it is here. No, it's not.
Quality.
Quality, that is. Quality, that is.
So anyway, Green Knight.
Yeah. So, yeah, I watched it. I watched it last night. I actually watched it in two halves because I watched half of it.
It's quite long.
Yeah, well, it's about 2 hours. So, but I watched half of it and then I had a nap and then I watched the rest of it, which is not relevant, but I'd just eaten. But I thought it was good. I quite liked it. Yeah, it was.
I think it started off really well.
Yeah,
like I really like the. I mean, I really like the cast. The cast all really looked the part.
Yeah.
And you know the king. Did you recognise the king in it? You know King Arthur.
He was Sean Harris, wasn't he? He's been in a few things.
He was the drug dealer in Harry Brown.
Harry Brown, yeah, and everything he's in. He's a bit scary. He scares me in everything he's in. But I thought he was really, really great in this. Sort of really benevolent, sort of kind, sort of king. You know, I thought he was really good. I thought he was probably the best one in it. Actually, well, not the best one, but he was really good because he was. Although they don't refer to him as Arthur, he's effectively King Arthur, isn't he? But like he had that sort of very much sort of world weary sort of thing about him, you know, like all the people he killed and all that. Yeah, he was just sort of had enough. But yeah, he still had he was still quite a decent fellow, you know, sort of in it. And I thought he was really, really good, you know, because I think if you play maybe jaded characters like that, you know, they're just going to be a bit bitter and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And he sort of really wasn't. You could say he was tired of it all, but like he was still sort of quite kind, and which I thought was really good.
Yeah,
I thought he was great.
I really like the way he spoke, you know, like the and all of that, his accent, it was almost slightly Danish or something.
Strangely, I thought there was bits of it that were sort of were West Country, and I think that was
on purpose
because Arthur, you know, Pendragon and that, he's supposed to be from the southwest, isn't he?
Well, Avalon's supposed to be down there, isn't it? It's like Salisbury, isn't it? Salisbury Plain and
a lot of it, it's supposed to be based in Cornwall. That way. I think he didn't have this is kind of leading on to other things, but I think in the legends he had a child with Morgana Le Fay, didn't they, called Mordred, who turned out to be a total bastard. And Mordred was the king of Cornwall. Cornwall for the win.
Yeah. Complete bastard. There was a lot of I really liked it. I liked the way he spoke. And I looked him up again because I sort of recognised him, because when I watched Harry Brown actually quite recently, because it's such a good movie.
It's a good movie.
And that bit when he goes to the drug dealer's house, and he looks like Gollum, and he's got horrible, and he's all skinny and wasted and grey, and like he's got ringworm around his ears. It's all crusted where he's scratching, like it's so filthy. And I looked him up in that because I thought he was outstanding as an actor. Really good, I totally got it. And I saw him in the Green Knight last night, and I thought, is that? Because I thought initially, maybe he was a bit Dutch or something, because he's got those drawn features and like, you know, and all the rest of it. And Dutch, or, you know, sort of from the Scandinavian, if you like. But then I looked him up and I thought, is that guy? And I thought, oh, blimey. Yeah, and he does a really good job. Yeah. I like Dev Patel.
He's from Bethnal
and I liked his mum. Huh?
He's from Bethnal Green, that guy. He played the king, supposedly.
He's an excellent actor. Like, totally. If anyone should get an Oscar, it's that dude for Harry Brown.
He's the Bond villain in the latest Bond movie, apparently.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet he's good. Yeah.
But
well, he deserves a success because he's
said
brilliant.
about Dev Patel's mum, and she was good. She was in
yeah,
she was in Homeland.
Homeland.
She was really
it's
good
the
in that.
wife of
Saul,
Mandy Patinkin.
That's
Is
right.
it?
Yeah, she was really good in that. Strangely, I didn't see anything in the movie, but I was reading about the movie afterwards with some interview with the director, and I just sort of like just to read about what the thing, and her character is supposed to be kind of Morgana Le Fay.
So I kind of thought that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the kind of witchiness, I mean, the whole thing. There's a scene when he's about to go off on his quest or whatever. It's not really much of a quest, is it? But like, she does the blindfold thing, right? And then later on, you see the blindfold old woman in that, when he goes into the forest with the guy who's hunting, and that's her. She's there again. She's a witch. You know what I mean? It was like for some reason it wasn't super obvious. I mean, at the time I was like, why are they both wearing blindfolds? Who is that woman? But yeah, it's supposed to be sort of his mum. Is basically behind most of the whole thing, and like although I didn't sort of it's strange. I didn't really understand sort of at the time. It sort of makes sense, but also like when he goes to the chap in the forest who's who owns that land, and he's got this a daughter, is it? You don't even know if it's his daughter, who looks exactly like his lover, stuff like that. That girl is also supposedly partly his mum,
And well, I mean, I sort of got the blindfold thing because I thought, well, that maybe that's what they do when they're trying to, and she's speaking the words that the Green Knight is speaking. When when the Queen picks up the letter and she reads it out, Dev Patel's mum is in that room with the other witches, and she's speaking the words.
They're doing something, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she gave that letter up, didn't she? She wrote that letter.
Yeah.
She summoned him, basically. She summoned the Green Knight to come and put her son on a quest.
Yeah. It's weird because in the book, the legends, if you like, the guy in the sort of place in the forest, the hunt, the guy who's there hunting, he is the Green Knight.
Yeah.
So
they're all aspects of him, aren't they? Yeah. They're all aspects of the Green Knight.
There's something I didn't notice at the time, but when he meets him in the chapel at the end, and there's a bit where he's just sitting. He's sitting in front of the Green Knight because he sort of seems to be asleep, doesn't he, for ages, and he's sort of sitting there and he's just waiting for him to sort of wake up. There's a bit where you see the Green Knight's sort of face sort of changes very slightly, very subtly. It just sort of changes from less sort of like a bark of a tree to sort of faces. And I was like trying to figure out what was going on. I couldn't really see who they were, but apparently it was the guy from the forest, the huntsman. So Joel Edgerton's character face turned up there, but also his mother, the Morgana Le Fay character, and also Dev Patel himself was there. I didn't see it, and apparently he said we were trying to make it as subtle, but without
possible,
but without.
I might have to watch it again then.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll definitely watch it again because it's strange because a lot of those things, because it doesn't bear a lot of relation to the story. I mean, it does and it doesn't, but especially like the ending as well, because I think in the actual story he does get his head cut off, and then he dies. But I'll spoil it for anyone.
You said.
Well, I think I just have, but
yeah.
Well, I'm just saying in the book, he gets his head cut off.
Yeah. Well, I've got a book downstairs on you. So I think I tried to read it once. Now I think I was reading the Percival one. And a little bit boring, but I think what the director did, I like it when they weave in all that pagan the symbolism, obviously the witches, Morgan Le Fay's a big one. I mean, Merlin's in it, kind of,
Yeah, sort
like a
of like
couple of
doesn't say a
times.
word. Yeah.
Doesn't say a word, he's just there. And what was it? Yeah, so the Green Man is obviously a big pagan symbol.
Sure, yeah.
And I love the fact that he had all that woody face. He didn't make him like normal. I mean, he was like a demon, you know what I mean? But like he's not at the same time. It's very weird. But I loved all that. I thought the start was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I like the bit where, was that supposed to be Guinevere, his wife, like the King Arthur's wife, or was that another witch?
I presume it's his wife. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they end up marrying? I mean, Guinevere, she did end up marrying the king.
Yeah, they
but she
did.
had an affair, didn't she, with Lancelot?
With Lancelot, yeah.
Yeah.
But she
So
did
I'm not
end
sure
up
if
with
that's
the king, and it was sort of
I'll
a
have to
pretty
look that
happy
up.
marriage, as I recall. But no, I used to have a book of those when I was a kid, and I actually sort of, strangely, the Gawain or Gawain, or whatever you want to say his name, is sort of the one I always sort of remember. But yet, weirdly, I just couldn't. I couldn't equate it with this movie. I'm not quite sure why. It's just, it seems to have all gone from my head. But like, if you talk about Arthurian legends, from my mind, the one I remember when I was a kid, it's the Green Knight. But I just don't seem to recall it. It's pretty strange.
Yeah.
But,
I might go down and read it, because I've got a full book on it, all the Arthurian legends.
It's kind of cool. Like, I was thinking about this because as soon as that movie started, I was like, I like this already, just because I think, because like the British Isles, we're sort of, society now sort of says that we're not really, shouldn't be proud of anything in our past. You know what I mean? There's a lot of sort of negativity about, with the British Isles and what we've been up to in the past and stuff like that. And you kind of forget that we do actually have these stories, these legends that are quick, that are, British. This doesn't come from anyone else. And of course, it's mythological to a certain extent, and there are similar legends everywhere. The Chosen One and all that shit, Sword in the Stone. But like, it's
British,
supremely British, and it was kind of. I just felt very at home as soon as that movie started. I was like, oh, cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is something to be, good about it.
Well, it's something. Well, I don't know about like the latest January. I doubt if they know a lot about King Arthur.
Well, there was the Netflix series just come out, but basically they changed King Arthur to a woman, because, obviously, women are...
Men aren't allowed to do anything.
Well, this is it, yeah. But, so that was my little, just sorry to interrupt there, but yeah, it's like they clearly looking at these legends and going, we don't like them because that's got a man as the hero.
But the thing is, Morgan Le Fay was as powerful as Merlin. Do you know what I mean? She was
absolutely.
Didn't she create a boy or something? Oh, well, that's right. It was
Arthur's son. Yeah, she sort of tricked him into having sex with her, and they actually had a kid.
She was Arthur's half sister or something. I think it was like incestuous or something, because But no. But the women in it actually are very powerful.
Yeah.
Guinevere pretty much marries up the queen and, becomes the queen and has an affair with Lancelot. Morgan Le Fay is really scary. She's like a super, hardcore witch.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no sort of like, meek.
It doesn't matter.
Meek feminine characters in those legends. They all have a part to play. Do you know what I mean? It's all
absolutely.
So I like them. I'm really sort of cool with those, those legends and stuff like that. So that's why I was sort of like, this is a great idea. I'd love to see this. I don't know if you noticed this as well, right? But every time, like throughout the movie, there was little sort of titles came up, and it was like, a beheading at the chapel, or I've just spoiled the end again. But the journey out, sort of like little things. And even at one point it said an interlude, right? Every time those things come up, I was just like, this is Monty Python, the Holy Grail. Did you get any of that?
I didn't
of Sir Lancelot.
Starring Sir who's not here, but, or whatever, will not be
brave
appearing.
Sir Robin.
Sir will not be.
Brave Sir Robin, brave Sir Robin. I was getting that a lot, especially towards the beginning. I was like, this is very sort of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and I wonder if they had a bit of a nod to that. It was. I don't know. That sort of popped up to me, but then towards the rest of the movie, it didn't really bother me when it became.
I wasn't thinking along those. I was thinking along the lines of, is it Camelot with Helen Mirren?
Camelot.
Excalibur. That was ages ago. Excalibur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along the lines of that.
Actually,
was it?
Yeah. Strangely, I watched. I saw a very brief snippet of an interview. I think it was on Graham Norton or something. I don't watch that show, but it had Helen Mirren and Liam Neeson on it. Liam Neeson
I've seen it.
Was in that. I mean, have you seen it? Yeah.
No, tell me about it though, because I really like that as well.
Yeah, he said he was there with his friend. His name escapes me, and like it was all their sort of first movie they were on because they were all very young. And he said he was sitting there with his friend on the shoot, and then he said Helen Mirren started walking towards them, dressed as Morgan Le Fay. She's probably like 19.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
She's gorgeous anyway. Yeah, but young.
And they both just as she was walking towards her, they both at the same time went, "Fuck," like that, something like that. And they ended up going,
they were together for a while, weren't they?
Yeah. Graham Norton was something like, "You two were an item for it," and he was like, "Yeah, we did a little knocked about for a little bit," and she was like, "We were together for 4 years. We lived together in London."
He goes, "You never told me that."
Yeah,
and he looked all embarrassed. Yeah,
but like again, that sort of movie, Excalibur. I mean, if you watch Excalibur, there's moments in that which is like, oh god, this is sort of it's kind of not kind of cheaply done. Well, it's not. Is it cheaply done? But it's still a wonderful movie. I remember watching that as a kid again because I was really into the sort of Merlin and all this. And Merlin in that is just not a likable character, and he's really sort of not. I think it's because when you're a kid, you have Disney wizards, and they're all sort of kindly, sort of magic is cool,
wise but kind.
Yeah, but they're actually just sort of meddling. They're the sort of element of chaos in all of these stories. It's like the rest of it is all kind of simple. It's men, swords, armies, and things need to be done, and you get done. And you've got these meddlesome, magical people like Merlin and Morgan Le Fay, and they're just like they're the ones who fuck everything up. They're kind of like the politicians. They're the behind the scenes people. So,
it's good. I might try and watch them all now.
Yeah. I want to watch Excalibur again.
I mean, apart from the one where they changed Arthur into a woman, I mean, that puts me off straight away because I won't be able to take it seriously because I know the legends.
I'm not sure if they changed it into a woman, but basically she's some side character who basically takes the sword or something like that. Basically saying that Arthur, he just because he was the guy, he actually didn't really have all the power. It was this girl or something like that. I haven't watched it. It's probably brilliant. But I mean, because for me,
like the Lady of the Lake. The Lady of the Lake gave that sword for whatever reason. Again, Lady of the Lake, very powerful being. She gives him the sword, Excalibur. So it's his, and he's the only one who can wield it, and it's the only one that's got the power to sort of create a kingdom, sort of thing.
So she gives him the sword, the Lady of the Lake. So which sword does he pull out of the stone?
I'm not sure, actually.
Isn't that fucking weird? I think just don't know.
I think he pulls out Excalibur, and then I don't know if it disappears, and then he has to go to the lake and ask the Lady of the Lake for it or something. I don't know. Should we have a look it up?
It says Excalibur and the Sword of the Stone are in some versions said to be different, though. Most that doesn't make any sense. The old French version of the name is Excalibur. I don't want to know anything about the French being involved in this.
Well, the French wrote the adventures, didn't they? But at the time, French and Britain were very alike. We were coming and going all the time. Brittany is they called it Brittany because it was like Britain.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. So did you know that? So, but like we were coming going. I mean, remember what should you call it? Pillars of the Earth, which
Yes.
kind of reminded me of it as well. And like he went to France to learn, masonry from some of the French people, and they had all of the Euclid's books on geometry and stuff like that. And it was like, wow, now I can make this cathedral. And that's where he picked up that weeping stone and stuff like that. I don't know what my point was now. But like, yeah, we were back and forth. France isn't that far.
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Well, I think that I mean, I'm just briefly looking on the thing here. Is that there are different versions of the story, and in one of them he gets Excalibur from the stone. In another one, he gets given to him by the Lady of the Lake. There are other versions where the sword that's in the stone is not Excalibur. It might have been something called Caliburn or something, but he got that one, and then somehow that sword was broken, and then the Lady in the Lake gave him the Excalibur.
The Excalibur.
But there are different
I
versions.
kind of remember it that way. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think the sword in the stone was like a previous king's.
Yeah.
But
I sort of vaguely remember
something like
like
that. Yeah.
Is that Clarence? There's another one called Caliburn. Anyway, so there are there are different versions. So and also the same. It's the same sword, really. You know what I mean? Depends how you look at it, really, I suppose. So one was to prove his thing, but the other one was to help him
build
win.
a kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. To reunite
Conquer.
the Britons and all that stuff. But I thought, again, coming back to the movie, I thought that was great when he's like, "I need a sword," and he like straight away offers him, what is obviously Excalibur, because they never refer to it, but you can see everyone in the room is like,
it's like, whoa.
And and again, you see Sean Harris, character, he's like, can hardly lift it, again. So you kind of feel really bad for him. He's obviously
he's
like,
old.
He's old, and he's obviously because he looks knackered as well, and his skin's all going funny. And the same with the Guinevere. They both look like they've been poisoned or something, And I think it's supposed to be, represent sort of, well, according to the director and the little account, is that there's some kind of rot at the heart of the king, the kingdom.
Yeah.
They've got this.
Well, that's in the books, isn't it?
You've got this so-called peace, but like at what cost? And even when you see Dev Patel pop, on his horse quite early on when he leaves the things, there are these other settlements in the distance, and they're all just burnt. It's like, in order to have Camelot, this just everything else is just kind of fucked. So I thought that was really good.
I mean, as the hero's journey sort of goes, like I was quite I thought he would make different decisions. Like when he was going through the battlefield, was it the gift he gives that kid, that weird kid, some like money in the end because the kid asked for it. But I thought he was going to bury the first body he saw. But he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? But then you go through the battlefield and there's like hundreds of them, all over the place. And you think, okay, it was probably not practical. I thought he'd be like, and the bit. Oh, I don't want to say the bit towards the end, but he's kind of like a bit of a coward as well at the end, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the thing.
And all the decisions he makes, I always think he's going to be like pure of heart and do the right thing, but he doesn't, which makes it interesting because you don't really know where he's going to go with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, ultimately he does. I mean, they made the ending sort of ambiguous for a reason. Again, it's different from the story. In the story, he gets his head lopped off, but he fulfills his pact, if you like. And
it becomes honourable, and like he doesn't fear death anymore.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's like in the movie version, you're like, does he or doesn't he get his head cut off? And at that point, it doesn't really matter because it's about his sort of
acceptance,
his personal journey. If you like, so he became all that stuff he wanted. He wanted to be honourable. He did. He says it several times. He wanted it, but he just didn't really think he had it in him and stuff. But he did. finally, like, he had the sort of the flashback sequence sort of thing, where he goes back. And as soon as that was happening, I was like, this is the last temptation of Christ, isn't it? Where he has, if you ever watched that movie, I would love to watch that again, actually, with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, it's a really, really
he has,
distressing.
yeah, exactly. But there's a whole massive long sequence, where like he's taken down from the cross and he's sort of like tended back to thing, and he marries whatever the woman's name is.
Magdalene.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I can't believe I can't remember that famous person's name. But, and they have children and all that, and it just goes on forever and lives a full life. And then all of a sudden it's just, no, that was that was the final.
Yeah, that was the devil tempting him.
Yeah. That reminded me of that. And I kind of knew that was happening. I mean, I think, I'm not sure they're supposed to hide it. But what it was, for me, the girdle, the girdle that's given, that like it's in the story as well. Excuse me. But like, as long as he's got that on, he's all right. So even though everything's falling around him, he's going to be okay. Do you know what I mean? And then, then when he takes it off in that sequence, his head just falls off. So he has been, the knight has given him his blow. And so, then that's his redemption, isn't it? It's to take away all the protection, is to sort of give away, to be totally open. This sort of Buddhist thing, it's about letting go of attachments of impermanence and kind of.
Yeah.
Interestingly, now I just said that about Buddhism, kind of at the beginning of that movie, that reminded me of sort of, your Buddhism origin story. We've got Siddhartha, who was the sort of young, good-looking prince, kept sort of almost captive in this palace by his father to sort of stop him from seeing all the ills of the world. So he doesn't know anything about old people, doesn't know anything about death. He doesn't know that death exists. He's surrounded by sort of like, whores and food and money, and he's really young and all that kind of stuff, and then, but he knows something's up. And then he sees he manages to sneak out of the palace and sees an old person for the first time, and he's like, what's that? And this sort of slave is like, well, that's what happens to all of us. And he's totally shocked. But again, I kind of see that, I saw that sort of, I mean, it's a very fundamental sort of story, isn't it? So you've got this young lad, he's, the Dev Patel.
Yeah, hero's journey.
He's sort of like quite in a sort of quite upper middle class sort of family in medieval Britain. Really got a nice big house, to be in that, and he just spends his time drinking and at the whorehouse. Well,
he's just a young lad, isn't he? He's just sort of like, he hasn't got any purpose in life.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got the sort of, got the king's sort of favour and all that. He's sort of doing all right. But did you think as well? One thing the king refers to Morgana Le Fay as his sister, which confused me, although that is just the most obvious statement that, she's Morgana Le Fay. I don't know why I didn't twig that at the time. But I also kind of felt at one point that the Dev Patel might be the king's son. There was something, it's like, why is he putting this much attention on this boy? So, and again, there is this, everyone was.
Well, there was an incestuous. What was the name of the son who was a bastard?
Mordred, wasn't
Mordred.
Yeah, I'm sure that was.
So they're like saying Gawain could have been Mordred.
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. That these all associations are popping into my head. I don't think that's the case, to be honest. But like, there was just a part, when the king, because quite a lot of characters in that movie spend a lot of time sort of touching Dev Patel's face. Have you noticed? Quite a lot of people are always going like that to him, like on his face, like sort of rubbing dirt off his cheeks. I don't know if that's significant, but like, I think quite a few of them did. His mum did it twice. The king did it to him, but like
Merlin did it to the baby.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but like, do you know what I mean? It was sort of, there's a lot of the way the king was holding his face was very tender, and I was like, you don't, that's a very strange thing. I very much, sort of said to me, is that is there more to? But it may be just the fact he is his nephew, and clearly, maybe his only heir, because it didn't seem like Arthur had any children. In the court or something like that. I have to go back and read those stories again. We could do some more Arthurian movies, I think, but
Yeah,
but
I
it
think
definitely
so.
in
Yeah,
the sort of way by directors like this guy. This is not a Hollywood movie. You know what I mean? So I thought it was really
I
good.
think it was quite like that. Like it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it really nicely. You know, the cinematography
yeah.
was yeah, it was pretty nice. I
It
liked
was.
a lot about it actually.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
moments in it. Again, like when as soon as you come outside of Camelot, which is sort of pretty safe, but not that sort of sexy inside, is it? It's just a fucking
It's
safe
just a
farm,
medieval
a farm with a
shithole,
fucking
yeah.
castle in it.
With a
But as
castle in
soon as
it.
you go outside, that looks, I mean, it looked very much like sort of Scotland to me, but it was just sort of like
It was
scrubland,
Tipperary. It was
Oh, was it
filmed.
really?
Yeah.
But typical. I mean, they couldn't have got a more better thing of the British Isles, but it's got that bleakness to certain
Mm,
parts of the British Isles, which I think we're all sort of used to. Weirdly, even though I don't live in those areas anymore, but so
mm.
I had that wonderful sort of bleakness where it's not verdant green. It's like a tough life. It all looks a bit cold, than what it would be
Misty.
better.
Yeah.
But I really liked the the bit with the giants. I thought was really cool
Oh
because
yeah.
as soon as I saw like this big hand, because first of all I was like, well, he's tripping because he took those mushrooms, didn't he? Because he's starving to death and he takes these mushrooms and then he's sick straight away, right? Because you're like, oh fucking hell, and then all of a sudden he starts fucking seeing things, and so I thought he's tripping, but it went on for quite a long time, and obviously maybe it was, but again, it's, in my mind, I
Was
was
the
like, we've got a lot of legends about giants in England.
giants?
Even
Yeah.
from where I'm from in Cornwall, there are lots of legends about that, Tren Crom and Carn Bray and all that
Ireland.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Island Scotland.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that was really cool. And they were sort of like, I mean, although they were sort of human looking, they spoke some weird fucking language. They were quite clearly just doing their own thing, not really interested,
Yeah.
and that's sort of when it reaches out to sort of touch him and he sort of flinches and it just sort of backs off. It's sort of like
Well, the
a
fox,
rat.
the fox,
Yeah, I like the
sort of
fox.
growls, doesn't he? Is the mum is fox?
Yes, I believe so. I
Yeah.
think it's sort of, I think she's behind all of it. Yeah, it's
But at
like,
the end, she stops. The fox tries to stop him going into the Green
yeah,
Chapel. Is that because she doesn't want him to die? Perhaps I don't
I
know.
don't really know. I mean, again, there are elements of that I didn't really kind of, the dots didn't join for me when I watched it the first time. And again, like, as soon as
Mm,
that movie stopped, I was like, huh? And I kind of literally sort of went on, and sort of had a look at the director's thing straight away, which kind of takes the magic out of it. But you know what I mean? I was interested because I was making notes, as because I wanted us to, because we were going to talk about it. But
yeah.
but yeah, then he said, about the fox, and because I thought the fox was cool, But
Yeah.
like, but it reminded me. God, have you ever seen that movie, Antichrist, with Willem Dafoe and Charlotte
I don't know if I
Gainsbourg?
know.
It's the Lars von Trier movie. There's a talking fox in that. Fuck me, what a movie! Yeah, it's quite
I'll have to write
disturbing.
that down.
It's very disturbing. If you want to see Willem Dafoe come blood, and
Ugh,
Charlotte
I don't know
Gainsbourg
if I do, to
cut
be
her
honest.
lady bits off with a pair of scissors, it's fun. But it has a talking fox in it. But interestingly, just after the giants thing, that he's sort of walking along and he sees the giants sort of going in the distance, and he's walking along this sort of like, I don't know, sort of granite sort of surface. There's not even any soil. It's just stone, all covered
Mm,
in lichen and that, or lichen, whatever you want to say it. And as you sort of cameras moving forward, the whole screen just sort of really slowly just turns upside down like that. So
yeah.
like as it's going forward, so now the sky is down and the thing, and I thought that was really cool because I mean that's just like an obvious metaphor. Like his fucking world is just totally
Oh,
upside down, and there's
yeah.
quite a few moments in that later on where it's sort of everything twists, and it's just a really, I was just saying, an obvious thing because I was just think it's really kind of a cool thing to do. You don't see that in Hollywood
It's
movies and things.
subtle. Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
something
but it's literally
you
just because.
analyse when it's happening, if you
Yeah,
like.
because I was
Yeah.
sitting there watching it and I was just like, up until the Giants, his quest is kind of it's pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? He's got to get to this thing. The little bastard kids fucking ruin things for him and all that, and then he's fucking starving, and everything's going shit for him and stuff. And all of a sudden, giants. And it's just all of a sudden it's just like everything he thinks he knows is sort of like, what the hell's going on? There's more to it. There's more to the whole thing. I thought that was really cool. That moment was really good for me.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I definitely. I want to watch it again. I thought Dev Patel was brilliant. He's sort of like,
he's such a good actor.
He's sort of really suitably handsome and sort of, but kind of young, and it's. I thought
he's got a really good profile. He looks quite noble.
He's wonderful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant choice. I thought it was very straight. I
thought the casting was really good. I mean, they used the Queen from if it was Guinevere.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of all the women were almost part of the same woman. Do you know what I mean? It was like Guinevere's mum. They're all magical.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I really like the casting. Yeah, it was really good because they used the Queen out of Game of Thrones, didn't they? She was the Eerie Queen.
Oh, she.
The one who had she had the 8-year-old kid on her breast. Yeah.
She was also in. I didn't recognise her from that, weirdly, but she was also in the movie The Witch, incidentally, as the wife of the guy who plays the actual Green Knight. Who I just, every time I see his face in real life, I'm like, that's Peter Finch from The Office. It was your good friend Peter Finch. Finchy. But yeah, he's in some loads of Hollywood movies and stuff like that. But yeah, she was in that. They were in that movie together. Have you ever seen that, The Witch?
I haven't actually.
It's a recent sort of horror movie that I warmed to the second time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I was like, everyone's talking about that movie is like the best new horror film that's been around for ages. And I was like, really? But I watched it again, and it was actually really, really, really good. Yeah, interesting. So yeah, let's write down The Witch. Perhaps that's something we can look at next time.
What should I? Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I was really interested in the thing right from the start. Just the opening scene where it's a very strange opening sort of scene where he's sitting there with some sort of scepter and that, and then the crown sort of levitates down onto his head.
Yeah, I really like the costumes.
Yeah. I read something about the costumes. They were like, they didn't have the money to sort of make, and none of it was really true to historical facts. They were like, we just didn't have the cash for that stuff. But the costume design just did a really amazing job making things that what we thought was what they were going to be like, and also Gawain's, he wears like a sort of throw. But
it's like like a yellow,
but it's sort of like in the story, it was like a golden sort of mane thing he had or something. So but that just reminded me of Soul Reaver. Every time he had that thing on, I was like, Soul Reaver on the PS1. It's amazing.
Yeah, it made me think of monks, because Buddhist monks wear that colour, don't they?
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Or it's more orange, I guess, but it's kind of similar enough.
Yeah, because it sort of stands out, and because everything else is just kind of dark. You know what I mean? Apparently, they had quite a lot of conversations about what colour green to use in the movie, because they're like, it has to be green in there, and because there's a big thing that Alicia Vikander, stroke Morgana Le Fay, does quite quite frightening sort of speech about the green, the rots coming into the, and sort of, stuff like that. But he said apparently they tested different types of green, and it just looked like neon, stuff like that. So they went for this sort of greeny blue sort of colour for the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like the colour of your couch.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of thing. But yeah, and then like there's very little red in the movie. He's only red when he goes into the water to pick up the woman's head, which apparently was the only bit that wasn't in the story at all. He just totally made that bit up, apparently.
Yeah.
It was Saint Winifred or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
which did
was
seem a
good.
bit incongruous to me at the time. That might have been the only bit that I didn't really understand. It didn't really link to anything, but
yeah, it did seem a bit. Yeah, I mean the kid's being weird. He goes to that hunting lodge sort of place,
yeah,
and I don't know. It's it did seem a bit out there. Saint Winifred.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
Mm.
what was that all about? What did that add to the story? I don't know. And then I wasn't sure if that was the fox, because the fox appears straight after that.
Mm.
So that to me was
Yeah.
like, well, is he, by helping the Saint, the red-headed girl, red-headed fox? Do we
Yeah.
have, is he just sort of like gained himself a guardian or something? I think that's what went through my mind at the time.
Ah, that's
Apparently
interesting.
not.
No, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting
But
idea.
yeah, again,
Yeah.
it just sort of made me. There was lots of little things like that came up for me as I watched it.
Mm.
But I thought it was great. I mean, I would quite happily watch more. With those characters, more stories with those
Oh yeah.
characters, especially the Arthur guy. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Probably the best for me. I thought he was the most interesting one, just because you know, he was carrying so many different things. He was sort of jaded and ill and old, and sort of you could tell it had taken a toll on him. Very occasionally he just sort of stares off into space, but like he was
Well,
still had this kindness about him. I thought was really really good.
well, they say like the king's linked to
The
um
land, isn't it? Sort of
the
like
land.
the health of the
So
land.
if the king is in decline or the land is in decline, the king's in decline, and he was in decline.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
So, but
yeah,
yes, it's like what's that sort of what's it all for? We've everything we've done and stuff, and then this is the result. Is this better or worse? Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. It's a bit like, well, like getting old for anyone, isn't it? Really, you know what I mean? You sort of
no,
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You just sort of, there's always like,
yeah.
wow, is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Uh,
But I thought it was wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I definitely
yeah,
watch that again.
I think I might watch it again just because I think I missed a lot of stuff the first
I
time.
did it. Yeah. The-
Yeah,
Um, but especially as a visual thing, it totally took me along with it. I thought it was great in that way. It's
mm.
yeah, sort
Yeah. I
of
thought it was very well made. Well made. Yeah,
yeah,
decent. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah,
definitely. We have to think of some others now. Yeah, I would watch The Witch if see what you
yeah.
think, because it's got a very similar sort of feel to that. It's not. I mean, this is sort of like a supernatural horror, but set in medieval England. It's just about this family, really.
No.
A really,
Yeah.
really difficult
I quite
life.
like that feeling because it was in Pillars of the Earth as well with that woman who's I'm not even sure where she was supposed to be from, um, but she could read and all that stuff. She
Yeah.
had skills that poor people at that time just didn't have, and she was a doctor of sorts.
Oh, it was like a sort of. She the one who pissed on a table?
Yeah, and
She
cut
was.
the cock's throat at the wedding.
She was like a witch, wasn't she? Or so,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
shaman, stuff
Everything
like
she
that.
predicted came true as well. You
Yeah.
will fall from great heights and stuff like that. She was a really good character.
Yeah.
And I love the bit where like she's in chains or rope or something because they've captured her, and the ropes come apart, and that's when she leaps on the table and pisses on that guy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
It's a
like,
good moment.
wow, that is ballsy.
So it made me
Yeah,
think that Rufus Sewell was in that. Oh, he was in it, but he was at the beginning, wasn't he? Yeah. And
yeah,
Haley
yeah.
Atwell. Love Haley Atwell.
Oh yeah, she's in that. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm not sure I could watch that again. I'm not a huge fan of what's the guy, the
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the
fish
fish guy.
fish face man.
Um,
Can't remember his name.
I thought he was good in
Yeah.
it, but like as a sexual partner, I wasn't really feeling it. Do you know what I mean? I just thought,
Yeah. I
although,
did watch the show. I did. I do remember watching it, and I quite enjoyed it at the time.
yeah. And his brother, was it half brother or his step brother? is a complete arsehole.
Yeah.
In it.
And he's sort of like legend of his dad getting burnt to death in France and singing while he was being burnt.
Oh, that's right.
Which I was just like, really? And it's so moving. His voice was so moving that he went down in legends and stuff like that. I was like, really? Really, though?
That's weird.
Or like, fuck!
Yeah.
Shit!
You would hope that you would die of the smoke inhalation before that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to sit through Pillars of the Earth again because it was quite long.
It's long.
As I recall.
Yeah, it is long.
But it was
It's very good. I mean, it's a series.
No,
like, you get really into it. Yeah. And it's such an odd story, like an idea for a story.
Yeah.
He just, like the writer said, I just wanted to write. He'd been looking at cathedrals and stuff. He said, I wanted to, because what struck him was that you don't get to see the end of it. You're just doing your part in history to build what you can see at the moment. And then you hand it on to your, sons or daughters or whatever, and to carry on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like the cathedrals are, are crazy, beautiful, and the work that's gone into them and all the rest of it. I mean, it explored the whole thing, what with the Euclid's, calculus stuff. And is it calculus? It's more trigonometry, isn't it? I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, Euclid's books, there's 8 books or whatever. It was Greek, wasn't he? Who invented that stuff. But they're still used today. I mean, that's how good Euclid was. Yeah.
Sort of fundamental physics or something, I suppose.
But I thought, what a good, what an idea for a story. Like he just that's what he wanted to write. But it's the characters really that you go with. But the driving sort of idea behind it is that people used to build things to such a standard, and they knew that it was going to take a couple of 100 years to build something like that, and they knew that they wouldn't get to the end, they wouldn't see the end product. So such as a dedication they had. So
it's interesting.
Yeah. I thought, it's such an original idea for a story, really. Yeah. He says that book like now. The writer of that book said, when he first wrote it, it didn't do very well and stuff like that. It's a bit of an odd thing. It's not really any, do you know what I mean? You couldn't really push it into any genre apart from historical. And but now apparently that one does the best out of all of them. He said it's just like I get really good sort of return off that now, so I can do other things. He said it's a constant source of income.
Cash.
Really. Yeah. It was a bit unromantic, but I mean, obviously.
But that's keeps the roof over your head. I like.
Well, yeah.
I like that sort of story that's sort of generational, multi-generational or something.
That's the word, yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to. Did you ever read Foundation by Isaac Asimov?
Oh God, years ago. I think I read it first when I was like 9 or something.
Yeah,
and I just didn't quite get it.
I didn't read all of them, no, because it was a bit much for me. I mean, I read them, I think, probably in my fucking 20s or something. But even then, like, I still was a bit. It was, I don't know, it was a lot to grasp. But and I don't remember much about it. But there's a new series of that. They're made a series of it.
That's interesting.
With Jared Harris in it. It's all got some wonderful people. It looks amazing. And as again, this is sort of like these sort of political intrigue, space opera sort of things. Because I think even the first book spans something like 800 years. Do you know what I mean? It's just like you get used to all these characters, and then they're all gone, and it's just all about. But there's this thing that this empire sort of that travels through the whole story. I think I fucking love things like that, because it's like the people are kind of secondary.
Well,
to what's happening.
It really allows the writer some time to sort of world build, doesn't it? Because the longer you're with a story, like Terry Pratchett's Discworld, he's written, I don't know, well over 40 books on it, but each one adds a little bit more to the world. and then he puts in running jokes, and then he puts in like, you know, characters who aren't actually the hero but are always there, sort of thing. Like, you know, Dibbler's sausage seller guys always turns up. Death always turns up. So, and it just seems that familiar that you can really see it. You really feel like you can, you know, see the whole of the world, and you know its politics, and you know what they wear, you know what they eat, you know, and stuff like that.
Did you watch the series that came out recently, The Watch, about the Sam Vimes?
No, I didn't.
No, I did remember. I remember saying to you before, you should watch this. It's all right. Yeah, there's a series called The Watch, and it's like, Sam Vimes and his little crew of cops, and there's like a werewolf in it and a transgender, obviously, and
who's the transgender?
I can't
Is
remember.
that the dwarf?
No, there's the dwarf in it who's like taller than everyone else, which I thought was very funny.
Oh, that's Captain Carrot. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and funnily enough, there's the one of the golems. I think it's a golem. Is it a golem?
But there's trolls.
The sort of stone thing made of clay, whatever.
Yeah, they're the golems. Yeah,
it's played by the same guy as the Green Knight. Weirdly, Peter Finch.
Way.
His name's not Peter Finch. That's his character in The Office, but I can't think of his name. Peter something. It's your good friend Peter Finch.
Because there's one story. Which one was it? It was I think it's the Going Postal. Because what happens in the book is that he has a golem as a parole officer, and then sort of over time they recruit more golems to be postmen. And then this is a woman called Mrs. Macalaria, I think, and she's like, you know, bun, you know, sensible shoes, and she takes offence at the golem going into the toilets to clean because like she goes, you know, and he said, well, they're not really men or women, do you know what I mean? So in the end, just to sort of placate her, he calls it Gladys, and then Gladys starts to sort of eventually starts wearing a dress, and then starts making him sandwiches, and then making, you know, bringing him coffee in the morning. But because she's Gollum now, the way she makes a sandwich is she gets 2 loaves of bread and some ham and just goes like that, and then gives it to him, and then she presses to by just sort of putting her trousers against the wall and doing that, because she's like incredibly strong. So I think that was the only sort of like really sort of trans character.
I think,
but like dwarfs are all they're kind of like one sex, because females aren't allowed to be openly female.
Yeah.
So they've all got beards.
That's right. They talk about that in the series, but it's weird because I haven't read a lot of Terry Pratchett Discworld books. I haven't. I've read The Night Watch and a couple of others. The Squad, the Monster Squad or something. What's it called?
Monstrous Regiment.
Yeah, something like I've read that one or something like that. But I don't know a lot about the rest of it. But this series is interesting. You give it a go because
I will do.
There was a lot of it. I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. And the Sam Vimes guy who plays Sam Vimes, he's a really good actor called Pierce Flaps. I can't remember his name. James Dormer or someone Dormer or something. He was in Fortitude, which was brilliant. I loved Fortitude. It's like the fucking mad sheriff, but he's in that. But he's from Northern Ireland, I think. So, and his accent, he basically kept his Northern Ireland. Irish. I almost did it then. His Irish accent.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, should we do that? Because he wasn't Irish. Sam Vimes wasn't Irish, but they decided to keep it anyway. He doesn't really look like what you think Sam Vimes looks like. I don't think. He's very, very skinny, and kind of strange. But it grew on me, that series. It was some really, really, really funny bits. It's quite violent. But it's worth giving it a go if you're a fan. Anyway, you know more about it than I would. And
I always think I'm going to be disappointed because when they did the Hogfather, I mean, they had David Jason in, and it just takes me out of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just like, you know, he's always played that, that guy from Peckham.
Yeah.
I can't even
Del
remember. Only
Boy.
Phil knows as Del
Derek
Boy.
Trotter.
Yeah, and he was, I think, too old.
Yeah.
To play Rincewind, so I kind of like.
I've never really liked any of the adaptations. I've never found any of those really, really good. Going Postal was all right, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they changed it though. They made the female character in it. Oh, what they call it? Adora Bell Deerhorse. They made her into some kind of like almost like a madam, like one of those bondage madams.
oh yeah.
And I just thought that's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's not in the book. She's still strong.
Well, again, there's lots of in the series, is it Veterinary, the sort of the leader of the Ankh-Morpork Prime Minister or something like that. In the series, is a woman, which is it's supposed to be some evil skinny guy in it, but so they do that for whatever reasons. But so there are a lot of changes that if you're a fan, and they do things like that, it's just going to make you go, oh, what? But why though? I mean, I get it, but why? I
It
don't
puts
understand.
you off. It puts you off watching it.
I think it's just because it makes you think they've got ulterior motives when making these series, which is basically
just not
just,
necessary.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
I mean, they've got a strong woman in it anyway. I mean, like Sergeant Anger is a werewolf.
She was in the series, yeah, and also that other woman, the lady, she's sort of the aristocrat who's in it. She's fantastic.
Oh, Sybil.
Might be Sybil.
Is it
yeah.
Sybil Rampkin?
Yes, that's the one, Lady Rampkin. Yeah, she's really good in it. She's proper, just like massive, like a toff, but like and very sort of quite haughty, but she's totally badass.
Yeah,
it's worth a watch. I think I think you'd like it.
I'll give it a go.
Like I say, there's bits of it that aren't great, and I think whether they struggle with money or something in there, I don't know, but there are some quite good moments in it.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. I did like. I like all the Watch books. Like Guards, I think was the first one. Was it? Men at Arms is the second one, I think. And then Men of Clay, or was it Man of Clay or something like that, is the third one.
Yeah.
But they're all really good. They're all really good. Like there's a bit in Guards, which is the first one. I mean, it starts off with Vimes being an alcoholic detective sort of thing. You just think, oh, really?
Oh, he is a massive alcoholic, yeah.
Yeah.
In the series.
But there's a bit right at the end. There's a dragon who takes over the city, and
that's right. Yeah, that's
Fred Colon, who's the fat one. There's like two absolutely hopeless policemen in it. There's Fred Colon and there's Nobby Nobbs, and they can't really figure out if Nobbs is actually human because he's just like this, big nose, warty guy, and he's always nicking stuff, and you know what I mean. They're hopeless. But like Fred Colon said, like, oh yeah, I used to be really good at archery as a kid. So like they have this thing where he's going to shoot the arrow into the dragon's vulnerables, and then he can kill it, sort of thing. And then they start going, yeah, it's 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but it just could work. And then they were going, is it 1,000,000 to 1 chance though? So they had him on one leg with a hanky stuffed in his mouth, singing something while he's doing this to make sure it was 1,000,000 to 1 chance, because he misses. And they said, oh, I don't think it was 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but it was like, instead of 1,000,000 to 1 chance, meaning that it's, forget it. Do you know what I mean? It was like 1,000,000 to 1 chance it just could work, and that was like a theme. I sort of thought it was brilliant. And it all gets a bit out of hand when they start, getting them to stand on one leg and
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever read by Terry Pratchett? He did a science fiction book called The Long Earth.
Oh, I don't think I have.
Yeah,
no.
I read, and he wrote several sequels to it as well. And he wrote it with some other chap. It's one of those books where he writes with someone else.
Yeah.
That was one of the most original ideas I've ever read in my life. And I only read that a couple of years ago. It's well worth it. It's more serious sort of sci-fi than, it's not a humorous book like the rest of his stuff.
Yeah.
It's basically, very briefly, it's sort of someone just develops this ability to sort of pop into the parallel universe, right? And so the thing is that there's the Earth, the universe we live in, and there's one right next door to it, right? It's very slightly different. But there's one next door to that as well, and there's one next door to that, and there's one next door to
It's
that,
infinite. Yeah.
and the further you go away from what they call sort of Earth Prime or Earth Central, the more things have changed, right? And people start learning this ability, and then in the end, they can pretty much people can do it at will. So they're like, so Earth Prime is sort of typical overpopulated and shit, and they go to the next one along, and it's fucking empty. Do you know what I mean? And it's just forest and animals and just completely full of wealth and natural resource and stuff. So everyone's just like all the poor in this for sort of popping to this one and just staking a claim and saying, well, this is mine now, and and things like that, which is sort of really, really cool idea, and they're like, they're looking like in this Earth where we have gold deposits, and then they're just moving to the next one, finding the place and digging up the gold, and the economy's all fucked, and it's proper interesting. But the further you go along, and they eventually go, people decide they want to travel through as many as they can, and it's like they call it Earth 1, Earth 6, Earth 10 and all that. But they invent these like blimps that can take things through, that can go through like 1,000 in a second, and they go into almost infinite fucking amounts. You know what I mean? And it's bonkers what's going on, and there's even a couple where the Earth isn't there. You know what I mean? They go into these spaceships and they go into this next universe, and the Earth is not there, and they die because there's no atmosphere, so they're all just hanging in space, sort of stuff like that. So they have to build a fucking space station at this universe so that they can travel to the next one. Stuff. It's absolutely fascinating. It's an incredible idea. It's really,
he was so he was so good.
Have a look at that. Just went on and on about that for ages, but I just like totally blown away, like all the different possibilities. But it's fantastic. Terry Pratchett, who'd have thought? But he was a proper Arthur C. Clarke sort of, classic sci-fi sort of premise.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, he was good.
So have you got any movies for next time then, or?
Well, I'll try The Witch.
Try The Witch, yeah. There's a new horror out called Censor, which people have been banging up. Censor, as in like a movie censor. Apparently this woman, I don't know anything about it. I think she's a movie censor, someone who watches movies and goes, no, you can't have that, or you can't have this in it and stuff like that. That's basically all I know. But it's supposed to be very good horror.
So I'll give The Witch a go first.
Yeah.
I might watch Excalibur.
Yeah. I
might read up a bit on the legends as well.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit more cogent next time I speak about it. Yeah.
But Green Knight, amazing.
Yeah. Did you watch Meld?
Oh, I did. I did watch Meld. It was a lot. It was quite short, weirdly, because I watched it. I mean, again, I think that was. I remember watching it before, and I remember maybe watching it with you probably years ago. Well, it was years ago, wasn't it? It was in the 90s or something. It might even be before that. I don't know.
God, it might have been, yeah.
But remembering thinking that was a really good episode, because a lot of Star Trek is very cartoony, isn't it? And, but it was proper like
dark.
It was really dark, because Brad Dourif, who's dark in everything, but I mean, he's just like, he's a psychopath. Like, he's literally just like, so basically he kills someone, and at first he denies it, and then he's like, yeah, and they're like, why? And he's like, no reason. And he's like, well, there must be a reason. And he's like, just didn't like the way he looked at me. And it turns out he's always been like that since he was a kid, and just randomly murder people. And he's sort of quite happy about it.
Tuvok can't grasp it.
He can't grasp because there's no logic behind it.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the he's got the murder, the opportunity. Is it them three things that you need?
Yeah, the motive. Yeah.
But there's no motive
That's
really,
it.
and he can't get his head around that. And then he does the meld, and I thought sort of like the most shocking part of that was when he's in the mess hall eating something,
Yeah.
and Neelix, who is the most annoying person on the planet, who just drives Tuvok mad, and starts going, "Come on, you really want to talk to me, don't you?" And all this kind of stuff, and all this, and then like he strangles him to, please go, and then he strangles him, and you think, fuck. And then the weirdest thing is when you step back and you realise it's just a hologram.
Yeah.
But then you think, oh my God, he's so wanting to kill people that he's had to make this program where he kills Neelix over and over again. Yeah. And that was even darker than actually killing Neelix in the first place.
Exactly. I was like, kill him. I can't stand him. As soon as Neelix came on, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I remember it used to drive me mad, this show. But actually the opening scene of that is fucking Harry Kim and Tom Paris playing pool in some holodeck thing. And Tom Paris has got some bird on his arm. It's like, it just wouldn't be allowed,
No,
it just wouldn't allow it. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go with the fucking two weird boys. Fucking Chipotle. It's all so much of that just opened up all the floodgates of, oh my God, some of these characters traits, so annoying. But like Brad Dourif and Tuvok, that was the great thing, because you see Tuvok just slightly slip in because they've had the mind meld and taken on each other's sort of elements of each other's personalities, haven't they? So
Brad Dourif
becomes sort of, he's proper. That's right, exactly like he's that.
Proper serene.
Yeah, he's like, I'm actually now a much more efficient killer, and and he's still kind of happy about it all. But Tuvok's just sort of a bit, he's just sort of like, nah, I can't quite. He still can't, because he can't grasp the logic of why someone would do it, and yet now he has the desire to do it. And it just gets worse and worse. And strangely, I was watching that, and I was like, I haven't seen this for years. And Tuvok goes down there to kill him. And I remember him killing him. I was like, he kills him. But he doesn't, does he? He doesn't kill him.
No, because he turns up in an episode much later, Brad Dourif.
He does, he does.
And he kind of like really redeems himself. Like he's become this like... He does. He dies later. Yeah, that's a really good episode.
I'll have to watch that one as well. But but you see, episodes like that was what was really good about Star Trek. You know what I mean? I'm sick of all the sort of furry tribble shit, and going to some planet and don't worry, we'll take care of it. All that kind of shit. There's so much crap to it. But things like that was like. That's a pure science fiction story. It's like, what would happen if you went into the mind of a killer? It had nothing to do with science fiction, really. It was just like, it was just,
other than Tuvok being from a race that is logical.
Yeah, it just gave them an excuse, didn't it? Yeah, to put two.
Sorry about the cat.
Making your camera shake and everything. But yeah, it's just sort of and the mind meld thing is just like a premised sort of, what would happen if you could go inside the mind of someone else. Obviously we can't do that sort of thing, but yeah, and like any good science fiction is, you take something completely unreal, outlandish like that, and then what would those people really do? And I thought that was really, really well. I
think even sort of the element of Brad Dourif's. He's a betazoid, isn't he? So he could probably feel what it feels like for the person to die underneath him.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
I thought that was a nice extra. Yeah, they're total empaths. I mean,
it makes it worse. That makes it even worse. Yeah, he's like a total bastard.
Yeah, no, he can feel how scared they are when they die. Yeah. And that adds an extra element of like fucking horror to it. Yeah. Because I mean, like people like Councillor Troy, she was only half Betazoid, wasn't she? But he was full Betazoid, so he was like completely telepathic.
Yeah, where was she when all this was going on? Oh no, it's a different show, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Generations.
I don't know, she's probably shagging Riker. Who knows?
Probably, yeah. I forgot about that. I wonder what's happening with the second series of Picard. They are supposed to be doing one.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah. I didn't mind. I mean, there were some elements of it I didn't like, but I really loved Stewart, Patrick Stewart.
It started off great. It started off great, and then it just got fucking stupid. You know.
Yeah, all that bit with the it got a bit too. I mean, like dark, yeah, but there's ways of doing it. I mean, when Echep died, I thought, oh no, not Echep, and then they killed off Hugh, who was like the first Borg they liberated from the Borg.
Yeah.
And he was there, and they killed him as well. And I thought, oh, for fuck's sake!
I thought the whole 7 of 9 thing was a bit.
That
very well
came
done.
out of nowhere.
You know, that was basically her just turning up in a leather jacket and sort of like, "Hey, I'm all cool now." You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, and you think like, well, where's Chakotay? He was supposed to have married him.
Yeah, where's Chakotay?
Yeah, where's Chakotay?
Where's any of them lot?
Yeah. I mean, she looks great and everything, and I was quite excited. I mean, when I saw the preview for the next thing, you know, where with the guns and stuff, I thought, oh, great. But yeah, it did feel sort of out of place, really. Yeah. I mean, seeing Riker again and Troy, that kind of, you know, because he would know where they live and go and see them.
It's a bit of a waste of an episode, though, wasn't it? Really, I thought the whole thing about them eating pizza because that's what you know.
I think they've introduced it because they're doing something about, you know, their kid died of like some kind of weird disease, like it wasn't a virus, it was like some kind of nanovirus. So Riker's and Troy's son, he lived to about 8 or something, and he got this sort of like nanoparticle disease, like from space, and it killed him. So I think they've introduced that because they might see if they can find a cure for it or something. What I'm really hoping
Can you cure dead people?
Well, no, cure for other people. I mean, you could probably go back in time. I don't know.
Yeah, they've done that a few times.
Yeah, but what was the other thing? I also thought that they might do the origin of the Borg, where they came from. What star is it? I thought that'd be quite an interesting story. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I'm not a huge prequel fan. That's the thing. It's just.
Oh no, not a prequel, but maybe they go to a planet and then find out it's like the origins of the Borg. Yeah. You know, like from ancient ruins or whatever, and they find that this is what happened. Mind you, it's kind of good to keep it a mystery though, as well. Because I mean, it could just be simply as, you know, they became cyborgs because that's what you do as a society. Eventually, you make artificial hearts and legs and all that kind of stuff, and then you become more, you know, machine and thing, and then that kind of takes over. So I mean, I suppose, yeah, I don't know, I'm rambling now.
No, I know what you mean. I think we need some new Star Trek. What's the most recent one? Discovery. Did you watch any Discovery?
I watched the first season. It was all right. Yeah. But like, I think it got on my nerves because she was crying all the time, and I just thought, oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's weird because they quite clearly, because they've done 3 seasons now, and like in the first one, I mean, I don't even remember a lot of what happened in it because I did watch it, but I was like, this is parallel universe. You know, with the Klingons are in charge and all this shit. The Klingons look totally different. In the second, and the captain of the ship, Jason Isaacs,
Michelle Yeoh,
his name is. She's at the beginning, isn't it? I think, and then he's in it because he's not in the second one, right? It's just, I think they sort of like all the problems in the first one. They just decided to just pretend they didn't happen, and the second series was very different. But it went the other way. Again, it was all just like went a little bit sort of woke. You know what I mean? And then I think the third series, because by the end of the second series, I was like, I don't know what's fucking going on anymore. I don't know where they are. I don't know when they are. Like, everything's fucking changing. Who are these people? This is people just turning up, flying the ship. And you're like, who the fuck are you? And there's all that stuff going
and like
on.
Michelle Yeoh was supposed to be like this
She was the
evil,
emperor.
Like Hitler, some kind of Hitler.
Yeah, she was like an
and
empress.
then she becomes like some sort of like mum figure to Michael.
I didn't really understand where that came from either.
No.
But in the third series, I kind of thought, okay, they've started again, right? So now, they're like 800 years in the future, right? They've had to go to the future. I've spoiled the second series for you. Well, I haven't, but they have to, right? And they're there for good, right? So it's kind of like, okay, this is the script going, right, let's just totally forget about all that shit we've just made a fucking mess of and go to 800 years in the future.
A corner. I think when you start the story off with like alternate universes and like time travel and shit, I think you've got to be so careful with that because it gets out of hand.
But it does.
Too convenient sometimes.
It's kind of like they introduced some new technology and stuff, which was cool, because it is the future, but also it's quite backwards the future because all the dilithium is gone. There was some kind of chain reaction, and every piece of dilithium in the I'm really spoiling it now, but every piece of molecule of dilithium in the universe exploded all at the same time. So Starfleet was just decimated. Like every ship was just destroyed. So Starfleet is just like a handful of fucking ships and this little thing. That's all there is. And everything was it just destroyed, put everyone back into the fucking sort of Stone Ages, if you like. But there was still impulse drive ships and stuff like that, but there was no warp travel and things like that. And then of course Discovery turns up through their time travel thing, and they've got a fucking ship which runs on dilithium. They've got loads of dilithium and all that, so they become this target. So it's sort of interesting, but it again, all of a sudden they started.
If it runs on dilithium, what was that great big massive tardigrade thing about?
Oh, right. So it's weird because they hardly mention that in the fucking third one. But yeah, it's this basically throughout the universe. There are these, God, almost like fucking spores, like.
Spore drive.
Yeah, the spore drive. They sort of, I mean, it never made sense to me in any of the series, and they kind of downgraded it a bit.
It seemed terribly cruel to lock that thing up, and it was obviously in pain.
That's true. Someone else, a friend of mine who's really into Star Trek, said the same thing. They were like, this is totally anti-Star Trek. The Federation would never do something like this. They wouldn't enslave a creature in order for their own benefit.
Because Captain Janeway, there was 2 episode called The Equinox, and they came upon a crew of all the Starfleet kind of people, but they got desperate and then they started using this creature to open up, I suppose, portals. It was doing that they sacrifice it in this machine, and the energy it gave off made them be able to move. And like Janeway was just like, right. And I think they'll all die in the end. No, because it is. I mean, you can't watch a creature, struggle or be hurt without thinking, oh, it's disgusting. Do you know what I mean? It's just, cruel. It's cruel. I hate cruelty.
Yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't wash with Starfleet. That's the whole thing about Discovery. It's just you've got this central character who just basically is constantly not following orders, constantly putting everyone in danger. The fact that it usually works out is sort of beside the point, I think. It's the fact that she just keeps putting people in danger. If she's supposed to be a role model, I don't really know what that's supposed to be about. Because
I thought the mutiny thing was a bit like, I thought, well, that doesn't make me feel like she's heroic at all.
No,
do you know what I mean?
She keeps doing it. She keeps doing it. That's the thing as well. If that was any other job, you'd be sacked. But it's like they keep bigging her up because, most of the time it works out, but that's kind of not the point. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
She's
not through
literally
her
just
doing, it's kind of in spite of. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. She's just sort of like, can't be trusted. Just totally do every time she wants to do something. That's it. It doesn't matter what anyone else is up to. She's just off. She just buggers off all the
Yeah, it's like
time.
she's got no sort of, she can't long-term plan or anything. She just, right, I'll go with this emotion, and I'm going with this impulse, and we're doing it now. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Not even
exactly.
thinking, oh, might have some consequences down the line, or,
Exactly, yeah.
just,
But all the sort
yeah,
of people who are telling her you've got to, can you just please do what you're told occasionally? They're all men, obviously. So those
occasionally.
are the bad guys.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And the whole
yeah,
crew, because the crew's all woke and probably fucking each other and all that. But like they're all just like, yeah, they're totally behind her, 100%. And the sort of old white guys are like, oh, drat! Why wouldn't anyone
yeah,
listen to me?
yeah,
So it's just like,
pesky
really?
youngsters.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like,
the second thing I didn't like about the first series was that none of the men were heroes. They were all just sort of like, one had a nervous breakdown, another one ended up being tortured. One of the gay guys died. You know what I mean? It was almost like they should have just made it all female if they, you know what I mean, if they were going to do that. Because I just thought, well, that's not how it works in military.
yeah,
It is mostly men. Women are brave too, but all the men just don't dissolve. But when a woman's there, it's
yeah.
just not truth. It's not the truth.
No, exactly. And I think
Um,
that's, that's just a problem. I say a cultural problem.
mm,
It's not a cultural
that
problem.
puts you
It's a
off, though.
media problem. It's a media
Mm,
problem. I think that almost every single TV show you watch now has this sort of message underneath, which is men are just horrible, men are evil,
I'm fed up with
and
it.
it's kind of it's just not what you see in real life. If people, I mean, I
No.
don't watch movies because I want to watch people like me. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people who gets upset and go, well, there's not enough white men in this. I'm not going to watch it. Because
Yeah, yeah, it wouldn't occur to me.
some
Yeah.
people do have a problem with that, don't they? They watch and they go, well, there's not enough people who look like me in this. I'm going to complain. I don't really
Mm,
understand that sort of thing. But saying that, there's no point pretending to make a show more real, more like real life, when what you're portraying it isn't like that. I mean, we're all not all living in
no.
harmony.
I mean, not
Do
all
you know what I
men
mean?
are, not all men are
Not all men
horrible.
are horrible and evil slave traders, and not all women are
And
sort of brave, kick-ass, martial arts people. It's just
yeah,
sort of, I don't know what, and also that it's okay to be very abusive to people if you think you're in the right. This is what main hero characters do. They're sort of
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
if someone
You just end up thinking
transgresses,
they're
you're
an
allowed to,
arsehole.
you're allowed to sort of, call them out or even punch them or something like
It's
that,
like
and then
it's been
everyone's going to go,
written. Maybe it's been written by someone really young, like when you're 15, and you start sort of
it does
learning about
seem
the
that way,
evils of, yeah, it's like you start learning about the evils of the world, and you start to rebel against it, and you know what I mean, and you're all very angsty and stuff like
yeah.
that. I mean, that's just a phase. When you get to like mid-20s, you just think, I just want to pay my bills.
Just
Just
get
want
on
to
with
pay
it.
my bills and
Keep my head
occasionally,
down.
yeah, exactly, sort of thing.
Well, see,
But
this is the reason why I like movies that. I mean, look at the Green Knight. That just had no vested interest. Although you could argue that the fact that there is a very multiracial cast sort of going on in here in traditional roles where they weren't black or
mm,
white, it made no difference, right?
mm,
And I think that's actually, I thought it was, we didn't really talk about that, but it was kind of one of the first things when that movie was coming out. Everyone was like, Dev Patel, great actor, but should he be playing this English sort of not right? But
yeah,
what I thought about that at the time, sorry, I just don't know why I shouted but there. I
but
think we like I was saying earlier, the sort of English have got these legends they're English. A lot of
mm,
people would say they're ours, right?
mm,
But by sharing our past, and saying, yeah, cool, it's for everyone and stuff.
mm,
I think that's a pretty, I don't, well, not woke, but I think it's it's a progressive thing to do, rather than being protective of your heritage and protective of your culture, like saying, oh, you can't have this is ours, or if you do that, that's cultural appropriation. By saying no, it's for everyone, I think that's a pretty open thing. I think there should be more of that, really, if not less. And like, it made absolutely no difference to me.
It made no difference, because like Dev Patel's a well-known actor.
Yeah, I think it's
and
because they
everyone
didn't
knows he's
refer
really
to
good.
it. They didn't refer to it. There was no woke, box ticking in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There
they
was none
didn't
of that.
like refer to him as an Indian or whatever. I mean,
racism towards him. There was no like sort of, you can't be a knight, because you're
the wrong colour.
Yeah, that's yeah. There was none of that shit in it, and I think that's part that again. That to me is progressive. It's like if you move on from that stuff, and like it's not a big deal to you, it becomes not a big deal. So I thought that was, like a really good idea. If there'd have been one comment about a colour of his skin, and you can't be a knight because you're Indian or something, and he's like, hey, I'll tell you, I would have probably turned it off.
Off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sitting through that stuff anymore. I thought that was a sort of really good. It's like, there you go, we've got this pass, have some as well.
It's like they want to, like these people, they want to accentuate the worst possible extremes of a society, which actually on a day-to-day basis is like, completely minimal. It's not, they make it sound like it's a minute-to-minute struggle with all of these evils that they've got to put up with, and it's not a minute-to-minute thing. It's not I just don't think, like you say, if you don't make a big deal about it, it's not. But I'm like Red Dwarf, like we talked about before. You wouldn't even notice that two people, well, most of the cast is black, because they play characters that you like,
and they don't talk about it,
and they don't talk about race at all.
Yeah,
it's completely
never,
not a thing.
Yeah, not once. They've done like 14 series of Red Dwarf. It's just never ever mentioned.
Yeah. So I better I've got to go to my mum's at some point.
Off to your mum's, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've done an hour and a half exactly, pretty much. So
scampi and chips. I've got to go and buy some crusty bread before I go.
Well, you're having scampi and chips.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Get the fuck in. I fancy something nice now. I might go and get some potatoes. I fancy some roast potatoes. I could have some roast chicken and roast potatoes.
I bought some McCain's frozen, but this is really boring.
No, it's not.
No, actually, yeah.
Sponsored by
They're
McCain's.
Actually really nice.
Thanks, McCain's.
Sponsored by. Yeah, no, but they were actually really nice. I was surprised. I was, yeah. I was.
McCain's oven roast potatoes. Yes. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's a bit easier than sort of. I mean, I like the way I do them, but I haven't got time for that anymore.
There might have been Sainsbury's now when I think about it. I don't
know. I might do that as well. I think I can fit a few potatoes into my calorific content for today. You've got to be careful, though.
I know. I pulled that down.
You what?
You can still see the bottom of it.
It's better.
I was hoping.
No, it's better. You're much more in frame than you were, because last time you were like this. There was a bit of you where you were like that, and then there was other bits where you were sort of
yeah.
Bother putting that one up.
I think I've sorted the height thing out.
Yeah, no,
possibly.
Well.
Yeah.
I feel very shiny. I've put some moisturiser on.
Should we just put this one out?
Yeah,
because
I think this one we haven't really. There's not too much misogyny or racism, is there?
I don't think so.
We'll save that for the next one. Yeah.
Is the green night out in things in England?
Well, it must be, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see it.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps I'll wait until the day it comes out.
When's it coming out?
I don't know.
I'll just put it out there.
Yeah, I will put it out. Yeah, we saw it at a pre-screening.
We did. Yeah, we got an invite
at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll sort this out and put this one up. So, but yeah. So next time.
Shall I change the icon? What should we do about the? Is the icon all right? I mean, it's a pretty small part of it. No one really looks at icons, but
yeah, I don't know. I just think it's weird. I just don't like. Why is that weird guy with the yellow glasses on? It makes no sense. I don't know. I was like, who's that? Is that Iron Man?
Yeah, I didn't have many pictures of you.
It'll do temporarily.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was going to say,
should we also? So we'll stick it on YouTube. Should we also stick it on Spotify? Do you have to pay to put it on Spotify?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Or just a vocal only one, yeah?
It's just a vocal only, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Obviously, cut all this shit out that we're talking now.
A bit at the end, yeah. We didn't even say goodbye to each other or anything like that, yeah.
Oh, right.
But, yeah.
What should we do then? Should we do the goodbye bit now?
And
then
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, cut that little bit out. All right, then. So see you next time.
See you next time. So what are we going to talk about next time?
Either The Witch or Excalibur.
Okay, I'm going to write Excalibur down as well. So
yeah, I think Excalibur, because that'll kind of like, we could maybe do a few of them where we do Excalibur, these type movies. And I'll have a read of the myths and legends.
Arthurian legends. Yeah. I'm sure there are more movies. Was there a I got a feeling there was a series. I think
they tried to sex it up.
You know, I've just typed into Google his 1998 series. So I wonder how many series were brought out in 1998. I don't know. I'll have to come back to that. I'll have a look at.
Yeah. Possibly Excalibur. Right.
So I'm going to try and watch.
See you next time.
Yeah. I'm going to try and watch this horror thing, Censor, as well. I'm going to try and watch that. But I'll probably have to go to the pictures for that.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we should do.
That's supposed to be quite good. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So all right then. So I'll see you next time.
See you next time.
We need to do the thing.
Oh God, you do it and I'll follow you.
Right. 1. We're going to do 4 now, aren't we? Let's do
No, we're doing 3. No, we do it as you said.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.